Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. Today, we're going to be talking about comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, March 9th, which has a great array of amazing books, a massive Marvel and DC crossover, and some return to some classic concepts. So, as such, we'll have an amazing, amazing guest who is publisher, editor, writer, and multi-award winning. You're going to want to stay tuned after this opener for all that and more. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and reminding everyone, we're talking about the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, March 9th, 2026. It's going to be a fun FOC talk today. What do you think, Kyle?
Well, I'm giving myself a migraine trying to figure out that Marvel DC crossover and my orders for that. But that is somewhat relieved by the fact that I know exactly how I'm ordering our special guest book, and that is in numbers that my accountant would call financially irresponsible.
That sounds probably the way that I'm going to as well, but we'll talk about that momentarily. Right now, we should remind everyone the two key websites they want to use to see all of the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday. Now, for those of you guys who love your Marvel, your Distillery, your Image, your Boom Studios, IDW, Dark Horse, Kodansha, Square Enix, and so much more. Those are all handled by Penguin Random House Distribution, and you can find everything that they have to offer on FOC this week at prhcomics.com. The website you currently see behind myself and Kyle, right off the bat, they know exactly where to put it. It's the first thing there. You just click this link, FOC March 9th, and that will bring you to this delightful page. From there, we always recommend sorting it A to Z, so that way you can see all of the books that wonderful distribution service has on FOC this week. But we get it. Sometimes your preference lies more towards DC, Oni, Image Comics, Dynamite, and more. And if you're a fan of all of that, which I think we all are, you're going to want to use lunardistribution.com. Now, Lunar is one of several distributors that handles those amazing, amazing publishers, but they have perhaps the best and most concise website. Going to lunardistribution.com, you see this little website. You scroll down a small bit past the amazing preview section that Kyle adores to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicked on the right date, March 9th, 2026, and you can see all that Lunar Distribution has to offer there. A lot of fun stuff, and we always recommend, we're going to talk about the big number ones, the hot covers, the notable storyline starts, but if you want to see everything, those two websites are key. Now,
absolutely.
I think it's time we introduce our wonderful guest who has an amazing book on FOC. He's an Eisner and Harvey award-winning writer. He has done everything from Viking Moon to Negative Burn, Black Eyed Kids to Voices in My Head, various X titles. He is an editor and publisher and the co-founder of Desperado Publishing and Aftershocks Comics. Without further ado, we want to welcome to the screen.
Hey, Mathias, before we bring him
I
on,
got cut off.
you left off an important award that is actually connected to the book we're going to be talking about, which is Gary Reed Independent Creator of the Year Award winner.
Valid. So without further ado, and probably with far more titles and awards that I didn't get a chance to name, the incredible Joe Pruett.
Hey guys, thanks for having me today. And Kyle,
Hey,
I like your irresponsibility in ordering.
Well, you know my connection to the old Caliber Comics stuff, right? And my customers have one because of it. So anything we get that's connected to that, we're Negative Burn, all of that stuff, I get to order heavy because it's guaranteed built in Michigan.
That's a good point. Very good point. Yeah, I think this year is my return, bring Caliber back to the spotlight kind of year. Because I'm bringing back Negative Burn and I'm bringing back Kilroy is here. My two titles I guess I'm most associated with while I was at Caliber.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm excited to get those. Really quickly, before we dive into a book that started at Caliber, can you tell us a little bit about some of your origins with Caliber and what led to Kilroy and Negative Burn?
Yeah, actually, I started at Caliber in '92, I guess it was. It was funny because I had the series of Kilroy is here, and at the time it was kind of set up with Tundra, which was Kevin Eastman's old company that he did, kind of like pre-Vertigo. It was kind of a pre-Vertigo series. It didn't last very long. So what was there? My editor at Tundra was Paul Jenkins, which is so funny. That means Paul Jenkins was my first editor in comics. When that went under, we ended up talking to Gary Reed over at Caliber. He wanted to do the book. I told him no to begin with because at the time I was like a little more, as most young people are, a little more self-absorbed and thinking, well, I can do better. And so I told him no to begin with. Plus, my artist I was working with at the time was very flaky, and I didn't want to work with him anymore. And so I kind of paused it. And then about, 6 months later, I called Gary. I'm still like, okay, fine. Let's go ahead and do the book. And it was the beginning of a beautiful friendship, I have to say. I know Gary became my mentor and, eventually my best friend. And his passing of, 7 years ago now, was really difficult, for me because he left a great legacy behind. I always say, Bob Burden, when I started in comics, I worked as Bob Burden's assistant on the Flaming Carrot from Dark Horse. And so I always say Bob Burden gave me my start in comics, but Gary Reed gave me my career.
There we go. Now, one of the things you worked with at Caliber is the first book we have to talk about because it's on FOC this Monday, and that would be Kilroy is Here. Can you tell us about the early start of Kilroy at Caliber before we dive into this new venture?
Kilroy was the first actually comic book series I ever wrote. It's a comic story I ever wrote. First appearance appeared in a book called Calibrations #1 in, I think, May of '92. That was the first thing I was supposed to do at Caliber, but as I mentioned a moment ago, my artist was kind of flaky. And so in the time I was waiting for him to actually do the work, which he actually never did, that's when Negative Burn got created because I needed something else to do. But Kilroy is my first baby, and I'm a father of 6, but I don't tell kids I'm really a father of 7 because this is my first baby. And as a character I created, just kind of like, I remember the Kilroy was here slogan, like World War II, is kind of a presence of the U.S. presence around the world. I said, well, that was actually a character, a real person, or a supernatural character. So my Kilroy character is a character who's drawn to human suffering, wars, famines, and he's kind of like a person who always shows up a little too late because he can't stop it, but he can avenge it. And so I enjoyed doing that. And the Kilroy, I used a lot of different artists on Kilroy. We started with Ken Meyer Jr., who did a great job. And then very, very, very early, Mike Perkins, who's going on to be an incredible artist. He came on, became the regular artist. So then I had Michael Oeming and I had Phil Hester and a few things here and there, other guys here and there. Luckily, I had the very first issue ever done. I had Brian Ballin, my favorite artist probably of all time. He did a cover for me. He's done a couple of covers for me for Kilroy. And so for the series here, the FOC book, and this is I'm using the 2 Brian Ballin covers he did from because I own them. So I scan them as color, and I'm doing like there you go, you got it. I scan them in color, so it's basically like an artist edition cover. So this was from Kilroy number 0, the very first comic book I ever had a cover credit for that Brian did, and the other one he did later on, like in '97, for a one-off called Kilroy Demon Storm, because the Caliber event series that we kind of tied our series into. But this new series, because I haven't done a new Conan, I haven't done a new Kilroy story since 1998, maybe 99. So it's been 20, 26, 27, 28 years since I've come back to my firstborn. He went off to college and went off and moved away and had his own family. But now he's come back around and we're working again. And so the one-off is kind of like, let's see if there's appetite for more. So what I try to do with this one-off was not forget where it came from, not forget the original stories. So I have characters that reappear into the story that we were seeing before, but also a starting point for a new direction for the series. And so a little homage to the old, but also looking forward to the new. So if there's an appetite for it and the sales warrant it, I'll be happy and thrilled actually to do more with this character.
That's awesome. Now, I mean, Kilroy started out at Caliber, but you did at one point actually bring it to Image for the collected edition.
I did, yeah. Caliber, and I left Caliber in 98. I kind of still kept my foot in the door there. I didn't really do a lot of new stuff with them because I was at that time. That's when I found myself in the X-Men office writing a lot of the X-Men titles. And when I started Desperate Publishing in 2004, after leaving the X-Men titles, you always want to, find a home, bring your babies home again. So I did a collection that had never been collected before at the Caliber days. And it was a massive, like 380 page trade. And I actually forgot a couple of short stories in it. I thought it was going to be the entire thing. So I did it then for that, but that's the last time it's been in print.
All right. Now with the new Image one shot that we're doing, is this going to be very reader friendly for new readers, or is this going to be something where you want to have read all the Caliber?
I hope I made it reader friendly for new readers. Like I said, I didn't want to forget the old readers and give a character here, a character there who showed up originally, show up in this issue. But again, I want it to be a launching point for a new look, a new outlook on the series. So I did a little editorial on the back to try to get a little more of the history of the character, to try to give some background material to somebody who might be reading it for the first time. Hopefully, for people who sell back issues like yourself, they'll be intrigued enough to go find the back issues of the first series and catch up.
Absolutely. Now then, for new readers who have not yet discovered Kilroy and known that he was here back in the day at Caliber, what is the story on Kilroy?
Like I said, Kilroy is being an unknown origin of power. Like I said, I've been drawn to scenes of human suffering, death, famine, protects the innocent. He's a protector of the innocent, and he's kind of cursed where he can't really stop it from happening before it does. But he can avenge it. So going forward, that direction will change a little bit. I kind of changed a little bit in the story here, where he actually will be more able to be proactive than reactive. I would just say that.
That's awesome. And definitely not a book for kids, right?
I try not. Well, you can see there. There's some blood in it. I try not to write, too mature titles. I want my kids to be able to read it. Of course, my kids are all adults now, but I would say more of a teen, a late teen, maybe, a mid-teen. I wouldn't say it's young adult by any means, but I don't think it's graphic or too graphic. So I think the 17-year-olds and up probably would be easy.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, it's beautiful artwork there. We are currently looking at the artwork and I know I'm going to
I will too.
Utterly screw up this name. So if you want to take it away from me, the artist on your one shot.
It's Dalibor is his first name. Talahek, or I really can't pronounce. He's Croatian.
Yeah.
I am really bad with Croatian names. Even though I have a lot of friends who are Croatians that know Esar Ribic, who I Darko Masson, who I mispronounced as Darko Mackin for years until they personally told me I was saying it wrong. So I'm very good, very bad with foreign languages, unfortunately.
No worries, but I mean, it looks amazing. It definitely has a nice dark tone to it that really I think will draw people in.
It's a dark story, and so it should have a dark tone.
Absolutely. So this one will be, oddly enough, and very, very uniquely timed, releasing on April 1st. Now, not an April Fool's Day return, but
that's great. I didn't know that.
But a fun one for this Monday's FOC. But there's one book that if you really want to grab the best of Joe, you need to order today. And if we can talk about what you're doing over at Zoop right now that also had Caliber Origins, Negative Burn.
Yeah, Negative Burn's the story, the series that made my career. It's an anthology series where there's no rhyme or reason. There's no genre-based ties or anything like that. I just let the creators create what they want to create. So one issue you might have, particularly for like this issue, you might have a horror series. You might have a story. You might have a Western. I know Ron Mars is writing a Western story. You might have a slice of life story, sci-fi. It's a little bit of everything. It's whatever I like, and I like everything. You should look at my iTunes playlist. I'm all over the place. Same thing with Negative Burn. It's all over the place, but it's fun because it allows the creators to create what they want to create. And when they are allowed to do that, they generally produce their best work.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, over the years, you've done over 70 issues through various publishers of Negative Burn. You've had top talents, everyone from Alan Moore to Terry Moore, Brian Michael Bendis to Brian Bolin, Patton Oswalt, Mobius, Jim Mahfood, Art Adams. I mean, I could go on for an entire show just talking about this. Who do we have in this brand new Negative Burn?
Well, again, the old Negative Burn always said, I had the name, the Alan Moores, like you said, or the Brian Wallens at the time, or P. Craig Russells, or whoever was really huge at the time. They were the window dressing. I mean, they brought the attention to the title, but it was always the up and comers who were the heart and soul of the series. Now, with this first series, I won't say it's the same strategy because it's more of a star-studded event. I guess a celebration of the original series, but just name off a list of some of the creators who are committed to it. Mike Allred, Marguerite Bennett, Brian Bolin, Mike Carey, James Mathias, Aaron Douglas, who played from Battlestar Galactica, who played Chief. He wrote a story for here. Francesco Francavilla, Michael Gatos, Phil Hester, Paul Jenkins, Joe Jusko, Sam Keith, Simon Krasinski, who I did Black Eyed Kids with, Joe Lisner, Ron Mars, Peter Milligan, Scott Morse, Steve Niles, Dan Panosian, Paul Pope, myself, James Robinson, Declan Chevy. I'm sure I pronounced his name wrong just now.
Actually, I think you nailed it.
Okay, did I? Okay, good. That's just a starting list. I mean, there's more than that, but it was just like I didn't realize when I first set out to do this new edition, I didn't realize how many people would want to be involved, or how many people remember it fondly. So it was people I reached out to, and then people reached out to me when they heard I was doing it. And so I have a lot of the alumni from the original series, but a lot of guys who weren't around at the time, who didn't have a chance to be in the original series. So it's heartwarming to me to see all the excitement from the creative teams.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is amazing. So This is currently being crowdfunded on Zoop.
Yeah, today's the last day. Yeah.
Yeah, today. Yeah, it ends at midnight today. So just in case anybody is watching not live, March 6th is the last one. Now, Zoop is always really great about allowing people to purchase even after a crowdfunded item is successfully funded. And this is successfully funded. Let's be 100% honest. You are already at double your requested amount.
Just about, yeah.
And you can find it at zoop.gg/c/negative burn. We'll see if we can get a URL up on screen. But the really fun thing I love about this, one of the things that I like with you working with Zoop, is this isn't just a crowdfunding where only those who back it before the end date can get it. As I said, you can purchase this after the fact on Zoop, but you guys are offering a retail tier, so your local comic shop can get in on this, right?
Definitely. It's definitely a retail tier. And I know, hey, you guys want to order more copies, like yourself, let me know. I'll work out a deal with you.
I love it. I actually, I had to back it last night, so I can tell you my shop's going to have some inventory in there. But if you have if those of you watching have a local comic shop that you think might not be aware of it, let them know. Let them know to go check out the Zoop Negative Burn. You can Google it very easily, probably even easier than the URL. Hop in there, jump on that retail tier. It offers all of the amazing covers that we're currently showing on screen right there at a very affordable, proper retail discount because you guys take care of retailers. I know you've done that from the start. It's awesome. I cannot wait for this to come out. What does the timeline look like for this?
I would imagine, because I have to wait for all the creators to finish their projects, because a lot of them didn't get started until we funded. So I said, don't waste your time starting in advance. Let's wait until we see if we get the money first. So I'm thinking it'll probably be in stores, July, August of this year.
Wow, that is still a quick turnaround, especially for a crowdfunded item. So credit as always to Joe knowing how to put together a project.
Thank you.
All right, but this isn't the only crowdfunded project you've recently done that will again be available in book or in comic stores soon. You just had an incredibly successful Kickstarter last year that raised over. Oh, I jumped ahead, but we're going to jump past Conan real quick.
Okay.
That raised over $140,000 last year, and that was the Book of Jusko. But it's not limited to Kickstarter, is it? You have an upcoming announcement here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was just announced by Image Comics. We are doing a softcover edition through Image. It'll be out in May. The Kickstarter itself was for a hardcover edition. Either with this cover is a regular edition. We also offered slipcase editions with two different slipcases, one with this book as well, but signed and numbered on the inside by Joe with a slipcase, and then another higher end slipcase with full, gold foil lettering and everything with a different cover, also signed and numbered by Joe, which was also available beyond the Kickstarter for I think a couple of months afterwards. I think they've recently just closed it down. But the soft cover, because I am retailer friendly and I don't want to just do crowdfunding and ignore the retailers, even though we did have a retail tier in here too, we only had to buy 2 copies to get a retail tier. Because I'm thinking most retailers don't want to buy 10, 20 copies of a $75 art book. So I think 2 copies was fair enough. But we decided to do the partner with the Image Comics and do the softcover edition, which I'll probably do that going forward with my other art books I'm doing, which I will be doing more. The next one I think I'm getting ready to launch, it's going to be a Jim Starlin new edition. And then I have like 2 or 3 more lined up after that. I want to do one like every quarter, ideally every quarter, every 4 months throughout the year. And because I enjoy doing them, I do all the design work myself. It's just another creative outlet. I have to have something to do. And, I'm a writer at heart. That's what I want to do more than anything. But, writing is a fluctuating income. We'll just say that. So in the meantime, I'm going to do stuff on the side that actually is more steady. And doing the art books, I did 10 art books when I was doing Desperate Publishing the first time around. And, partnered with Image and by myself a couple of them. And then with IDW, I think I did Brian Ballin, which won the Eisner. P. Craig Russ was nominated for an Eisner. Joe Jusko, the first volume I did with him, Tim Bradstreet, Tony Harris, Jim Starlin, the first volume I did, Jeffrey Jones, George Perez, Amanda Connor, and Dave Dorman. And they all were very successful, and I enjoyed doing them because I get to, this time in my life, what I want to do is just work with my friends and have fun doing what I'm doing. The corporate world's one thing, challenging, I'll say, but nothing's more rewarding than working with your friends and enjoy what you're doing. So what I enjoy doing is writing comics. That's why I'm doing that now again. Design the books for my friends, give them a retrospective, beautiful 300 page retrospective of their career, all the wonderful stuff they're doing. And then like stuff like Negative Burn. Again, it's me working with my friends doing stories they want to tell. So that's what I see myself doing forward. So again, the Jusko book will be out from Image and softcover in May. And then the Jim Starlin Kickstarter will probably launch this month. I would think maybe later this month. Very latest, the beginning of next month. And then after that, every quarter or so. And then I have some other, really nice crowdfunding things I want to do with other buddies of mine, where I do nice hardcover slipcase collections of other past, work and stuff like that. So design is a great creative outlet. Writing is a great creative outlet. And then working with all you guys and doing these podcasts and videos are always fun too.
Love it. And obviously, I got to point out the wonderful theme of selected pieces of art you guys chose for the Book of Jusko. There, some Edgar Rice Burroughs and, of course, Robert E. Howard references on there.
Oh yes, yeah.
I imagine you're quite the fan of Robert E. Howard.
Yeah, this cover was used for Dynamite for a book cover they did there, and we got permission from them to use it for this cover because it was just it's just an eye-catching cover. It just implies what Joe's career is that barbarian, that majestic, strong character. You can see for the Tarzan flip, what's that called? The soft cover comes inside the in flip,
interior flap.
Yeah, the flap. Yeah,
we'll go with that.
So I lost the words for a minute there, and then of course the John Carter stuff in the back here as well. I've always been a fan of. So there's stuff inside that is. You'll see some Conan stuff. You'll see Tarzan stuff. You'll see stuff you hadn't seen before. And everything in the second volume I did, the Jusko art book, nothing is repeated from the first volume. So the first volume was 300, I think it was 12 pages long, and this one's 240, and nothing's been duplicated. It just shows the testament to how much he works to this point still. And he's just a great guy.
Awesome. Well, for those who want more Robert E. Howard, not just the incredible artwork of Joe Jusko, you have an upcoming story with one of the key Robert E. Howard characters in the upcoming Savage Sword of Conan number 14.
Yeah, I actually have two.
But you're not doing a Conan tale in this.
I'm doing a Belit story. And this is Belit before she met Conan. So they always, in the stories, at least the stories I remember reading, always refer to Belit. It's kind of like a god. They always call her goddess. And my story is like where she got that name from. Why they think she's a goddess. So it's drawn by Goran Suzuka, who you might know from, he did Walk Through Hell with Garth Ennis for me at Aftershock. And he's done a lot of stuff over the years. He's a great artist. He actually did a book with me way back in the day at I did a Desperado called Beyond Avalon. So that's my first at his stuff. But yeah, here's a page from Goran's work and the Belit without the lettering. But I'm very happy. It's a 10-page story. It'll be in the backup story for the May issue, Savage Sword. And then I guess I can talk about it, but and maybe the following issue, I have a short with Mike Allred drawing. It would be a young Conan story. He wanted to do one with the horns and everything from very early Conan. So I wrote a story for him for that. I'm not sure exact issue is coming out. It might be in 15. I'm not sure. But yeah, so this will be out in May. and it's my first time ever writing the Conan universe characters, and big time fan, long time fan. So it's exciting for me. I hope I do more.
Awesome. This will actually be on Final Order Cutoff next month, April 13th for that May 6th release. But it doesn't hurt. You can always reach out to your local comic shop as early as today and tell them you need a copy of Savage Sword and Conan 14. So, out of curiosity, is Belit yet the queen of the Black Coast in this, or is this even earlier?
Yeah, she's still it. She is, but I'm just trying to do a story where why they think she's a goddess.
Awesome. No, I'm excited. So, let's see. We've talked about everything from Kilroy to Negative Burn. You know, we've discussed the incredible art of Joe Jusko, and now your swing with Robert E. Howard. But you have more. You have an Image miniseries currently coming out with both Vikings and werewolves. Can we talk about Viking Moon?
Sure. You know, well, they just go together, don't they? Vikings and werewolves. Why not? You know. So yeah, it's a story. I actually thought of it many years ago. Probably 12, 13, 15 years ago. I just never got around to doing. I think part of the reason is because I ended up being the publisher at Aftershock Comics, which kind of took me away from being creative to my detriment. But so I was there for almost 10 years. So I wasn't really doing much writing. And so when I left, the first thing I want to do is go back to writing. And so I was talking with Marcel Fruzen, who I had done a short story with at Vertigo back in 2000 maybe, for the Weird Western Tales little miniseries they had. And I've always wanted to work with him again. So I was just reached out to him about trying to do that. And he said, well, what ideas do you have? And I threw him this idea, and he said, that's what I want to do. And he started flooding me with all this reference for Vikings and have you seen this movie? Have you seen this TV show? Have you done that? I'm like, wow, he is really into the Vikings. So I think I reached out to the right guy, and I've just been really happy with his work on it. Granted, it's been a little slower than we hoped, but I guess you can't rush greatness, right? So I'm getting ready to send issue 3 to press next week.
Yes,
so that would be out within the month,
April 8th.
Okay. So, but yeah, so I've been very happy with what he's done so far. He's been very excited about it, and it's just a fun. Again, it's me getting to do Conan and do horror at the same time. That's how I look at it. It's like, I've always liked werewolves, and I've always liked, the barbarian type stories. So just merge them together. It seemed like a good fit.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a good fit that the first issue sold out instantly, going to a second printing.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is a 5-issue miniseries, correct?
5 issues, uh-huh.
Awesome. So issue number 3 hits FOC next Monday. Again, never hurts to let your local comic shop know. It'll be dropping April 8th with issue number 4 FOCing on the same week as Savage Sword and Conan 14, April 13th, with a May 6th release.
I think I'll probably go back a little bit, to be honest. I'll just be blunt with you.
But we'll have a very barbaric May with
yeah, exactly.
All right. So anyone, wow, this is where I'm at this morning. Do you want to give us a quick pitch for those who have not already grabbed Viking Moon so they can rush out and tell their store they need it?
Look at it. If you like, if you like werewolves and like, heroic barbarian type, sword and sorcery type cells, this is a tale for you. It's based with real history in Newfoundland and Canada, where there was a proven Viking settlement way like around 1000 AD, way before Christopher Columbus discovered America. The Vikings were here, and but they don't know. They estimate they stayed for a few years, but don't really know why they left. Besides perhaps being overwhelmed by the Native American population, and they were vastly outnumbered, perhaps. This is my story. Here's the real reason they left. Because, with Native Americans, you also had the mythology of the skinwalkers. What's a werewolf, but it's not a skinwalker. So this is blending Native American mythology with historical fact. So it's just kind of a fun story. I feel like creepy stuff. Yeah. And it is violent. Marcella does like to do decapitations. I'll give him that, or an arrow through the eye. I don't direct it, he just does it.
So everyone has a lot of ordering homework today. Remember, you want to go head up Zoop for Negative Burn before it caps out at midnight, or otherwise let your local comic shop know so they can order it for you. They can take on the brunt. Let them know that you want all these amazing books. Kilroy was here, or Kilroy is here, rather. The Book of Jusko, Savage Sword of Conan 14 and possibly 15, and the rest, if not all, of Viking Moon. But if you want to constantly keep up with all these amazing books, because Joe clearly does not rest, where can people find you online, Joe?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. That's really about the only two places I am. As you said, I do keep busy. I also am extremely lazy with social media. So I can barely keep up with Facebook. So, but that's where you can find me. And also when I get around to do my next project, which you'll hear about shortly, I'm doing a new project with Brandon Peterson. We hope to launch by the end of the year, which will potentially be an ongoing series. And he's doing some beautiful work on that right now. I'll let you know when I can talk about it.
Awesome. So where when that does officially get announced, where are people likely to find that? On your Instagram?
Yeah, there might be a press release, but definitely, Instagram, my Facebook page.
Awesome. And what's your handle on Instagram?
Joe Pruett Official.
There we go. Nice and easy. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Joe. I cannot wait to get my orders in for all these books on FOC. I hope everyone else is placing those orders today as well. Kyle, what do you got to throw out there?
No, I just came on to say see you soon, boss.
You take care, my friend.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Joe.
Cheers.
All right. We've got a lot of books we get to talk about aside from that already amazing start to the show. So, Kyle, do you want to take us over to Penguin Random House to begin this?
I can. There we go. If I could click the right button. Absolutely.
All right. So that reminder, we're starting it off with this Monday's FOC on prhcomics.com. Stuff that we have to finalize Monday, March 9th. So let your comic shop know. And we're going to start it off a little bit weird. We're going to start it off with a bit of prose. Now, comics have long brought us the question at Marvel of what if. But recently, Disney has been bringing us those what if questions with their Twisted Tale series. And the newest one on FOC this Monday is Adventure is Out There, where it takes a what if tale from the movie Up, that classic Pixar beloved film. But what if it was Ellie who went to Paradise Falls in her youth rather than her widowed husband? This is an interesting concept. I think has a lot of fun. And if you've never read the Twisted Tales, I think you'll quite enjoy these. Liz Braswell has written a number of the Twisted Tales as well as done the Snow White series Snow. And again, if you want to take a look beyond just Up, scroll down a little bit and you can see all of these amazing ones from, Moana to Brave, Little Mermaid, to Princess and the Frog, and so many others. These are great book series with top writers doing what-if alternate takes on classic Disney movies. But with this new one from Up, I think you are set for a really, really fun tale. I mean, if the opening 3 minutes of Up wasn't already an emotional slap in the face, this what-if twist will definitely get you there.
Yeah, this came in second for my pick of my prose pick of the week. It was I like these kind of, what if the Marvel bullpen had become the Fantastic Four? What if Thor had been attacked by the symbiote? What if Up was different?
Yeah,
right. Like, that is a fun concept to be like, what if our movies that you know and love and emotionally wreck you every time you watch them was slightly different than it was when it came out? And this is, I really enjoyed these. I've picked up a couple for my nephew, and read them to him. He can't read quite at that level yet, but like, it's this. They're fun because there's something for me, there's something for him, there's something for everybody in these books.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, and the best part about any what if story is it couldn't exist without the original. We are already invested because we know the original story, and this does such a great job adding to it and finding a way to really poke at your emotions.
Yes.
All right. Now, a big one I have to talk up because issue 1 isn't on stands yet. Jessica Jones is back with the new Alias Red Band series from Marvel. Sam Humphries, our good friend, doing the writing on this in advance of her appearance in the upcoming second season of Daredevil Born Again. Now, this is a big one I always want to emphasize because issue number 1 is out. It's not yet out. So stores are ordering blind. They don't know if you picked up issue number 1 or if you're going to pick up issue number 1, which is all the more reason we want to put this in front of you guys. So you let your local comic shop know, hey, look, I'm all in. I want to know about Jessica Jones. I want to see this new tale of Alias. This is the perfect time. You got to let them know. There's some great covers. Like, oh, look at that David Mack right there. But all these awesome. Let your shop know if you're going to be grabbing Alias, especially if you know you're already going for number 1 that comes out a week from now so they can get their orders in for number 2 properly.
For sure. Like, and if you're buying Alias and you're not buying David Mack, are you even really buying Alias?
You know, I would normally say that, but this is a week for Joel Jones. I really will say that. So that Joel
I'll
Jones.
be honest. There isn't a cover of this I'm not getting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Ebas or the Juan Basil Dua, cover is great. I think the Joel Jones cover is great. I think the Mark Aspinall variant is very good. I think the use of text of the Luke Cage posters,
Yeah, the Mayor Cage. Oof.
yeah, is super cool. Like on that one, there isn't a cover of this book where you can go wrong. But if you're buying Alias and you're not at least getting one David Mack, you're only doing half the job at least.
I won't disagree with you in the slightest on that, actually, because, yeah, I'm buying multiple covers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then Amazing Spider-Man continues on with its Death Spiral storyline. Just look at the covers. Like, oh my God. Issue 26 of ASM, just every cover is amazing. When you're talking about buying multiple books, oh my God, I don't want to let anyone know how many covers of Amazing Spider-Man 26 I'm going to be buying. And if for any reason you haven't read Death Spiral, don't worry. The second printing of the one shot that kicked it off is on FOC this week to help catch you up. But oddly enough, that's not the Spider-Man I want to talk about today. Death Spiral looks interesting. There's some amazing covers on ASM 26. I want to talk about Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity because we are all waiting for the third Edge of Spider-Verse film. We all love our various Spider-Verse crossovers. But what happens when famed television and comic writer Jordan Morris gives us the tale of the various spider characters from across the multiverse that aren't yet ready for the big picture? And who better to train them than the man who, I dare to use this term, trained Peter Parker over 616, the most horrifying villain in all Spider-Man history, Norman Osborn. Yes, Norman Osborn stuck with the job to train Miles Morales, Ghost Spider, Silk, and others. This is going to be an interesting and dark little one-shot.
The frat parties at Spider-Versity are
Yeah.
going to be weird as hell.
I just said one shot. I meant miniseries. Sorry. I had to double check that. I'm like, I said one shot.
It's totally a miniseries. But like I said, there's a lot of this that just confuses the sin out of me. And there's a lot of it that makes me very excited.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't necessarily think that Miles Morales or Ghost Spider or some of these characters need educating on how to be Spider-Man, right? Like, it is instinctual. But I like the idea of all of these characters that are of a certain age with these certain powers coming together, more like summer camp than college.
Yeah.
And like when they have to go and like compete in games against summer camp Doc Ock or whatever, like all the guys with multiple arms from the other summer camp across the lake. Like I think that could be fun. Like this, there's Jesse Moore or Jordan Morris. I first heard of him and kind of became aware of him on Jordan Jesse Go, which is a hysterical podcast. He has the ability to write a very hysterical Spider-Man story here that reminds us that we're not supposed to take these characters super seriously.
Yeah.
And I think you can tell, especially with the Rose Besh cover and some of these other covers where they're a little more meme-like,
Yeah.
that you can have, so that this is going to just be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish that it wasn't an incentive variant, but I love that Todd Knock cover.
Right.
There's a little secret that was actually meant to be an exclusive for a distributor that doesn't really do comics anymore, but is now getting reused, and I'm so thankful for it over here as an incentive. I just wish it was an open order cover. So if you are after that beautiful Todd Knock cover of Miles, Gwen, and Peter playing video games, reach out to your local comic shop and see if they're going to be ordering it and how much it'll cost, because it's a pretty awesome cover. All right. Now, for more emotional pile driving, if you've ever been a fan of Avatar, and I'm not talking James Cameron's Avatar, which has the final issue of the Gap Year Tipping Point on FOC this week, I'm talking about The Last Airbender. This one will wreck you. There is now a oversized hardcover library edition on FOC for Avatar: The Last Airbender, Fire and the Family. And this is going to feature 3 individual stories by Brian Konietzko, Michael Dante DiMartino, and the incredible Faith Erin Hicks, focusing on Azula, Iroh, and Zuko. You're going to get an Azula tale. Actually, all 3 of these tales, I should say, take place after the final episode of The Last Airbender. But an Azula tale where she has the chance of redemption. An Iroh tale that tells of exactly how life is going, owning his own jasmine tea shop. And a classic Zuko tale that gets us closer to that point where he truly steps into his role as the Fire Lord. So all 3 amazing. They've been out before in softcover in smaller formats. I love the library edition hardcovers because you're getting like that large size artwork. You're getting a nice thick hardcover. Amazing. It is well worth the $50 price tag, especially if you are an Avatar fan that is always wanting more. And let's face it, if you're an Avatar fan, you're always wanting more.
Right. These Avatar: The Last Airbender books fall into those great things that Dark Horse has done over the years. In that same category as Firefly and Serenity and Buffy and all of those things where the show's ended, but the mythos continues at Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the one thing I will always love that Dark Horse does, and I know I'm gonna catch some flack from some publishers for making this statement, but they do better than anyone else with their licensed books. Is they work very well with the original creators to continue it. It's
Right.
not let's relaunch it. It's not let's do something different. Let's just have some wild take. Star Wars, it was a continuation for many, many years. Buffy, it was season 8, season 9, etc. Firefly, we got more working directly with those involved. Avatar, it's the same. This is canon continuation.
Right. To save Mathias from getting yelled at, there are a lot of publishers who do really good at, this is a story that takes place during the existing mythos. Or this is a story that takes place while the thing is happening is happening. The thing Dark Horse does well is, okay, we're 10 years later.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, love it.
So.
And I'm not gonna lie, every single thing I named, I own library or omnibus editions of, because I love it so much that I have to have that to share with friends. We're like, oh, you like Avatar? take this, you got to read it. So, consider that when you go to your local comic shop and place an order. Maybe not only get a copy for yourself, but get that copy to loan out to friends.
Yep.
Always love spreading the love of sequential art.
Oh, it's true. Right next to that on PRH is Maxwell Dark, Bad Blood 2, a graphic novel. This is just something to not spend much time on, but just remember the Maxwell Dark series is a ongoing series where they have a number of different stories and plot lines that feature this character. Think Dogman or Captain Underpants. Think Dave Pilkey for older kids. Kids
There
who
you go.
understand what it means to be a little emo. This is going to continue. So the first volume was Nightmare Hunter. Second volume is Bad Blood. There are more volumes coming from Brady Smith. Like I said, this is, if you've got a little emo kid in your life that needs a comic book, this is the book for them.
All right. I love it. And I do love that, we're getting to that point where they have an understanding of this age group and the options. So this is, again, hardcover and softcover simultaneous release. So for $23.99, you can get the hardcover, but if you want to get the more conservatively priced item, $14 gets you the softcover, because they understand, look, kids and families have various budgets. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't all have access to it the way we want it. All right. Speaking of amazing Marvel covers, man, DC was getting there. DC was becoming the new cover house, and Marvel takes it back this week. ASM was great, but look at Black Cat. Look at these stunning covers on Black Cat. Still continuing that Venom team up, but every single cover, absolutely amazing. Now, I know that you want to put us into checkmate with this. No, let's talk it up, Kyle.
So there is I have a weird connection with this book. I don't play chess. But oftentimes, there's a thing among chess masters, right, where they spend so much of their life talking about chess and thinking 3 moves ahead and trying to plan out and see what their opponent's going to do, that they wind up with a level of paranoia and mental illness that comes from that. And the best case for this is Bobby Fischer. And my connection to this book is that, right? The idea that if you spend enough of your life looking far ahead or back at your past matches, you're going to wind up paranoid where you have to live in the match you're currently playing, right? And it's something that I work on in therapy all the time. But when I was in high school, I read this book. It originally had come out, written by Bobby, like in the late 60s, his 60 most memorable matches. And he breaks down and gives thoughts about why he did what he did, why he thought his opponent did what they did, what it means to be a chess master in the mind of maybe the greatest chess player to ever live. And so along with kind of the note about the mental illness that comes to a lot of chess grandmasters, you also get this insight into a mind that worked like no other. This is one of those books that a lot of times I've read galley pages or I've read a little preview of these prose books before we get to the show. I've read every page of this multiple times. This is a reissue, collector's edition hardcover in a very special. It's a new binding, a new kind of cover stock that they've never released this book in. It'll look really great on a shelf. If you're a chess fan, it's great. If you're a fan of people. If you're a fan of intellectuals, it's great. If you're a fan of trying to understand how the human brain works, it's great. This is not the kind of book I would normally recommend on this show because there are no space aliens, there are no superpowers, there are no dead people. Normally, these books I recommend, they have some sort of supernatural or sci-fi bent. This is literally about going, okay, I moved this guy to there, and that meant that guy had to that my opponent had to move his guy to there, and we did that because of this, and it was this thing, and this is why we did it. And it just is an insight into not only, again, one of the greatest minds to have ever played the game of chess, but one of the most interesting minds to have ever walked the planet.
Beautiful descriptive right there. All right, Bobby Fischer, my 60 memorable games collector's edition. And, you know, again, that really kind of cool entrance also for those watching of things that weren't always comic shop accessible that now are.
Right.
And I mean, you know, that being said, I know that we're getting people who are watching now from bookstores and more manga and anime themed stores. So just that reminder, something cool that you can bring in that is not the traditional, but maybe you'll find the audience for it in your shop thanks to Final Order Cutoff.
Yeah, and if you're a customer of a shop, the odds that your local comic shop is going to carry the Bobby Fischer chess book are microscopic.
Unless you tell them.
But yeah, if you go in and you call them this weekend, or you go in this weekend and be like, hey guys, PRH has this book, and this weird bald guy on the internet told me I would like it, and I think I want to read it, then they'll probably order it for you. I like how I said bald and you scratched your head, Mr. Pony.
I know. I instantly, I'm like, I'm not bald yet. Getting there, but not yet. All right, let's talk about some people who definitely aren't bald because they've had some of the most beautiful actors and actresses in all of cinema playing in the various films and TV series related to this graphic novel / comic series, Extraction. Yes, Andy Park's Extraction is getting a new collected edition from Ignition Press with an opening forward by the Russo brothers, who obviously did the Extraction films at Netflix. So you've likely enjoyed the Extraction films on Netflix. Streaming them now is a certain option. But if you want the original source material, that's where it is time to grab the Extraction trade paperback that is available with that beautiful, beautiful Dan Panosian cover. I want to say that's Dan Panosian cover. Yes, Dan Panosian cover. Great way because with more Extraction-related TV shows and films on the way, as well as Extraction spin-offs coming from Ignition Press, this is your opportunity to get to where it all started.
Right. And
obviously,
again, you may have read some of this as Tyler Rake previously, and now it's all titled Extraction. And, you know, it will be, labeled the same way the movies are labeled. So you don't have to get confused. Because I was confused.
Yeah, I will say if you have a local comic shop that heavily supports Ignition, you should ask them if they have the new Tyler Rake Extraction story Ash Can. Currently in stores, it just was dropped last Wednesday, so you might get an advance read of a new spinoff. That series will be FOC in April, that series did just FOC 2 weeks ago in February and is going to be releasing in April, so expect more there. We also have Bad Thoughts coming up with an FOC next month, so a lot of fun coming from Andy Parks. Pretty sure you got to help out Andy at Comics Pro like 2 weeks ago, right?
Not Andy so much as all of the people who stood between me and Andy so I wouldn't accidentally call him Andre.
There it was. Love it. All right, guys. Here's something I don't love. And I feel bad on this. Well, I absolutely enjoy Hello Darkness. One of the biggest horrors to me is body horror. So I'm making sure to show the black bag variant only because it's the one censored image of this cover. God knows it won't be if you order this bag and open it up because you'll have the incredibly dark artwork of Jonathan Weishak, who brought us amazing things like Cul-de-sac from Bad Idea. Weishak is definitely a very popular artist, but Hello Body Horror, a one-shot spinning out of Hello Darkness with reprint and new stories on there. Boom Studios always bringing these amazing books. If horror is your thing, if body horror specifically is your thing, this is a book you're going to want, and I'm going to stay as far away from as possible, even though I'm going to be ordering copies for anybody who requests it and making sure my store has some. I will literally be avoiding the new wall on that release day.
There's one cover on this that doesn't absolutely gross me out.
You're going to make me scroll down? Are you going to make me scroll down?
It's Jenny Frison.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And
face. Oh. Oof. Not my thing. Thing.
Right. No, absolutely. If body horror is not your thing, stay away. But the blank and the Jenny Frison are both like tolerable.
Jesus.
Close this tab.
Campbell. Yeah, I looked at the Campbell cover and I'm going to have nightmares for a week. So we're going to scroll past. All right. But yeah, for those of you guys who love it, that is definitely something to pay attention to. Now, let's talk about some very unique, non-traditional comic form, one of which is the hot webtoon series Hotel Limbo. Hotel Limbo has the vibe of Has Been Hotel meets The Amazing Digital Circus. It is a fun, goofy book series by Ben Harrell with a number of incredible artists. It is out there. It is crazy. It is definitely the book you can read, hand to the young, hip readers, but it'll also be fun for all of its unique fantasy tones that it bring in there. It is the newest offering from Top Shelf, one of the subsections, I should say. I don't know what the term I want to use is of IDW. But I think this is going to be the one that's going to shock and surprise a lot of people. It is a trade paperback, but I really think you're going to get people coming into your shops asking for this that you might not have seen in there for other reasons. But all the more reason to stock it, because why give these sales away to the big mass market box stores when it can be you guys introducing new people into sequential art, getting the webtoon people off of their, mobile devices and into your store to read these awesome comics. So that's a fun one. And now for something completely different.
No, for something completely different.
In a world of manga, I have a secret. This has the complete manga collection in one volume. This is by Yoru Sumino. And if you're not familiar with Yoru Sumino was the one who did I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which sounds like body horror, but is not. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas was an incredible manga and anime series about a young boy discovering the secret life of a young girl who was dying of pancreatic failure and dealing with life, mortality, and so much emotion that it is a devastatingly great series. If you haven't taken a chance, read it, watch it. It's amazing. And as such, I Have a Secret has my absolute attention. Coming from Seven Seas, I think this has a high amount of potential to draw a lot of people in for a really unique slice of life as we follow several students and their personal stories of romance and life. I think Yoru Sumino is definitely somebody to pay attention to in the manga circle. Whether you're a manga reader or people who just like slice of life, people who I think enjoy things like Fantagraphics and Drawn and Quarterlies, amazing, amazing comics and graphic novels. This is going to be your entry point into a stunningly amazing world of manga. So keep an eye on it. This one has a lot of fun, and you can see a lot of incredible books by Yoru down below here. Yoru, just absolutely amazing. So I have a lot of manga, a lot of comics, a lot of great continuing series, and stunning, stunning Marvel covers on FOC this week. So make sure you take time to scroll through PRH Comics. Final issue of Null on FOC this week. We have so many great manga series. I wish I had the time to talk about all of them. But the big one that everyone's going to be going crazy about is the Marvel DC crossover. And look, I think that when it came to Deadpool, Batman, Deadpool, DC had the stronger offering. Even though it might not have been the highest selling, Batman, Deadpool was an all-star piece with moments like Grant Morrison writing Batman and Deadpool. This time, I think it's the opposite. I think unquestionably Marvel's offering of Spider-Man, Superman takes the cake because we are going to have Brad Meltzer, New York Times best-selling author, superstar, all-star man Brad Meltzer, Jeff Johns, and countless others doing Spider-Man, Superman. This is going to be insane. And when we're talking about great covers, I really hate to say it this way, but DC's offering for Superman Spider-Man on FOC last week was lackluster. Every one of these covers at Marvel looks amazing. Frank Miller, Humberto Ramos, Greg Capullo, Adam Hughes, Giuseppe Camuncoli, Gary Frank. Like, this is all insane. These are some of the best covers I've seen all year, all on a single title. Peach Momoko, Scotty Young, Ryan Stegman, Sarah Pacelli. Even the logo mashup variant is amazing. One of these makes it into our top 10. I won't tell you which one, but one I have to point out because last time Marvel did it, it was the hard one to get. Sanford Green doing an homage, of course, to Infinity Gauntlet. I think that one's worth paying a little bit of attention to as well. But man, this is going to be a book. I can see people wanting multiple covers. Reach out to your local comic shop. Let them know what cover you want, let alone multiple covers. Because Brad Metzer, Jeff Johns, Dan Slott, Louise Simonson, Brian Michael Bendis back at Marvel, Jason Aaron, Joe Kelly, Jeff Loeb back at Marvel, Stephanie Phillips, Pepe Larraz, Gary Frank. I mean, I literally, every name in this solicitation, I cannot wait. Look, I'm excited about Superman, Spider-Man, but my money is on Spider-Man, Superman. Kyle, your input?
You said all the things, man. I maybe don't necessarily agree with the cover you picked in the top 10 as what I would have put in the top 10, but it's hard to pick against a lot of these.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a cover preference out of this very large array of amazing covers?
Yes, but like I said, there is no wrong choice here, right? They're all great. For me, the covers that really stick out to me are things like the EM Gist cover, the Eric Larson cover, the Greg Capullo cover, and then like I get into things like the Marcos Martin and the Peach Momoko. Like those are all covers I'm ordering heavy on. I ordered a ton of the Scotty Youngs.
Yeah.
You know, it's there. You can't go wrong with a cover. But I have my brand preferences. I guess I would say, as opposed to, and that's why I picked what I picked.
Yeah. I will say, also, unlike DC, there are incentive ratio variants on the Marvel ones, which there's a part of me that appreciates as the retailer. But there's also a part of me as a fan that annoys the heck out of me because I agree. Eric Gist's cover is amazing, and I hate that it's an incentive. But I want to remind everyone, if you're looking through all these covers and you see a star right up here that says incentive variant, you're going to want to reach out to your local comic shop and ask them if they're qualifying for it. And if they are, how much it'll cost, because it takes a while. There are hurdles you have to clear to get those. And not every store will be able to get them. And if they do, they could get a little pricey. But man, in some of these cases, they're going to be worth every penny spent.
Right.
So absolutely amazing. So that is a huge one. Again, I'm excited for Superman, Spider-Man, but Spider-Man, Superman, is my big one there. Can you guess where that lands on our top 10? All right. Another one in the S's, though, after I scroll through 1.5 million covers of Spider-Man, Superman, that has my attention. One of my favorite things currently streaming right now is Star Trek's Starfleet Academy. I absolutely adore this series. If you are not watching it and you've ever been a Star Trek fan, even if you're not a hardcore Star Trek fan, it is an incredible TV series. So in a recent episode, they even had a comic as a major plot point. Sadly, that's not the comic we're getting, but I am so happy to say that we are getting a Star Trek Starfleet Academy comic series. Written by Lane Morgan with art by Coralia Espuna. done with the incredible editing of Heather Antos, we are going to get a new tale called Starfleet Academy Lost Contact, a new miniseries about our intrepid new students of the rebirth Starfleet Academy going to an alien planet. However, when stuck on their own without the aid of their teachers, they discover an alien. Kind of looks like a little bit of a face hugger, if you ask me, but I'm sure it doesn't have a xenomorph, connection there. But this is going to be a fun and interesting tale, adding more to it. Some great covers available on this, and I'm just excited to get more Starfleet Academy. I don't think under Heather Antos's reign at IDW we've had a bad Star Trek comic. Everything has been good, from the Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly relaunch of Star Trek, Defiant, Lower Decks, the new Last Starship series. All of these have been phenomenal. So I am very excited for Starfleet Academy there. Then we have some great Star Wars reprints coming out, awesome trades and omnibuy, and of course, issue 2 of Shadow of Maul, because I am very excited about the upcoming Darth Maul TV series coming to Disney Plus streaming, and this plays a prequel to it. I mean, have you any thoughts on the Shadow of Maul, Kyle?
Well, I mean, once you've seen one Darth Maul cover, you've seen them all.
There it is, Kyle. Yeah, no, I can't recover from that. Shadow of Maul. Shadow of Maul issue number 1 hit this past week. It was amazing. Issue number 2 is going to be great. And it's one of the times where you get to actually FOC number 2 after number 1. So take advantage of that. A incredible EM Gist Mandalorian and Grogu cover, his first of several leading up to the film. So that will also be a great way you can order it. Now, some more manga fun, because I like talking about manga every now on here. Let's talk about Stella Must Die. Stella Must Die is a new manga series from Yasunori Mitsunaga, and it tells the tale of a princess who everyone wants dead, especially her sister, who wants to usurp the throne. Unfortunately, after plot fails to kill our protagonist princess, we discover she has an unlikely ally in a place you would least expect out to protect her. This is a really weird out there book coming from Kodansha Manga. So fun, weird, creepy fantasy horror in a way you would never guess. You can see a little bit of future with its volume 2 down below, but I love this pitch. It's Parasite meets Cinderella. Creepy concept, but I think it'll be fun. Then,
yeah,
Kyle, you ready to come on and talk up something?
I will certainly try. Twitch is so bad I can barely read. What's up?
All right. I mean, I got to mention really quick, Ultimate Spider-Man number 24 gets a second printing with probably the best incentive I've seen on a second printing in ages. So expect that to go for a fortune. I don't know if your store probably isn't even sold out of Ultimate Spider-Man 24, but talk to them if you want any of those things. We're also getting Uncanny X-Men annuals with a great homage to that issue number 1. But what we brought Kyle on screen for is a question of, where's David Lynch? Kyle, where is David Lynch?
Well, David Lynch is where you least expect him. And that has always been the David Lynch way, isn't it? Where is David Lynch is like a Where is Waldo in the world of the David Lynch films, right? So you've got your classic David Lynch movie settings, and he is hiding in them.
That is an amazing concept. I cannot imagine where David Lynch might be on there.
Right. David Lynch is where you least expect him.
Yeah. Is he going to be in the diner?
You hope, right? Otherwise, what the hell are we even doing?
Absolutely fun. All right. So then we'll end PRH.
Quickly, Mathias, scroll down a little bit more. There are other great Where Is Bowie from this same group, where you get, again, David Bowie in settings from things David Bowie did. So settings from his songs, settings from Labyrinth, settings from other things. So it's now you're hunting for David Bowie. Where is Waldo?
I like it. I mean, you know, as an adult, I clearly don't still, you know, flip through books of Where's Waldo to try and track down that goofy man in his red and white striped, you know, shirt and cap. But when
No,
it comes to David Bowie and David Lynch, and it's just a tale of many Davids here, I will find every David. I will.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Definitely a fun one to let your comic shop know if you're interested in grabbing this, you know, a little bit of a distraction from the dark realities of life lately. But a distraction I'm looking forward to in a most pristine and beautiful format. The final one we'll talk about at PRH this week is Witch Hat Atelier, the Grimoire edition. Kyle and I got a chance to look at this in advance. It is so thick and shiny gold and pretty. This is already a phenomenal manga series from Kamome Shirahama. But this edition feels like what you'd imagine and hope a grimoire would feel like. This is amazing for such a classic manga.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I love is when you have a manga that already exists in kind of its own realm in terms of its mythos of being a manga, right? So Witch Hunt Atelier is one of these storied manga that is just popular, and if you know manga, you know this series.
Yeah.
But when they take it and they put it in these hardcover, foil, embossed, gold leaf, whatever, like the Grimoire edition, it gives these books second life as a collector's item, but it gives these books second life to a crowd that might have missed the original pass, right? Used manga is hard to come by sometimes. This is a great way to throw this at somebody. And oh, by the way, it looks great on a shelf. So if you have someone who's a big manga head, a big manga collector, this is a great way for them to be able to say, you know what, this is one that it goes on my shelf next to my other, my hardcover, Dragon Ball Zs or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Kodansha has been doing a stunning job with their hardcover recently. They are not pulling any punches or expenses on this stuff. So for the 10th anniversary, it's crazy to think it's only been 10 years, but the 10th anniversary of Witch Atelier, this is going to be a incredible. I hate to tell you, I'm going to end up giving away my copies of the traditional manga to replace with these hardcovers. They are beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a hop on over to Lunar Distribution, the home of DC, Oni, Dynamite, and so many others. LunarDistribution.com. We just scroll down a small bit to upcoming FOC. And of course, what better way to start it off, as we oft are, than something absolute and absolutely amazing. So we're going to start it off with Absolute Superman number 18, the start of a new storyline that introduces an interesting concept as we find the sarcophagus of King Shazam. And in my mind, with no true insider info, that means we get Teth Adam, Black Adam, in the Absolute Universe. I could be wrong. Maybe it's some weird Billy Batson situation, but I'm hoping it's Teth Adam. First appearances in Absolute books, always a big one. I'm hoping this is a really big one. I know that I'm going to be ordering up not only for myself, but for my shop. Reach out to your local comic shop to guarantee your copy because Absolute books sell out. I don't know a store that isn't going like, whoa, I feel I'm ordering too much, but I keep selling out. So let your store know that you want it, which covers you want, that you want 55 copies of cover A. Let's face it, that wouldn't be insane in this modern era. Let them know so they can get you it guaranteed. We have a lot of great continuing series over at Lunar. Things that are wrapping up and hearing their penultimate issue, like the incredible Autumn Kingdom by Cullen Bunn. I know that last week's issue has gotten a lot of attention. We're getting reprints of all the Batman stuff. And then, I hate to say, we're getting a break from Jorge Jimenez on Matt Fraction's epic Batman run, especially after that stunning issue 7 with the gatefold origin of Joker and that unbelievable last page reveal. If you haven't rushed to your store already to grab Batman 7, when you go tell them everything you want at FOC this week, you go pick up a copy of Batman 7 and then prepare yourself for a unique break as we get an anthology of Matt Fraction Batman stories in Batman number 8. Jorge Jimenez is still doing us the wonderful job of the cover with Ryan Sook doing the interior. I don't understand how they could take Jorge Jimenez off this book, and I'm still somehow very, very excited for it because I think Mr. Jimenez is doing a phenomenal job. But I am truly, truly into this. We also get to see the start of an April theme of joke covers at DC. While Marvel is doing April Pools Day with Deadpool and everything, DC is getting April Drools Day with a little bit of crypto love to prepare us all for the Supergirl movie. And let's face it, Gillian March is telling us Bruce is not having it. You know, I always thought that Batman was a bit more of a dog person. He has Ace the Bat Hound, but I guess Ace is not the drooly, licky type that Crypto is.
No, Ace knows where to keep his tongue, which is in his mouth.
Now, for those of you guys who aren't yet with me on this love of Jorge Jimenez and Matt Fraction's Batman, it's okay. We can change that. Hardcover and softcover of that opening 6-issue story arc that will lead you right up to the big Joker issue. Now on FOC, will be dropping in June. The only thing I hate is that you got to wait till June. But like I said, there are reprints of those early issues now on FOC. So if you don't want to wait for June for that trade paperback or hardcover, you can get the reprints through your local comic shop and catch up that way. All right. Then here is a big anniversary issue. Batman Superman World's Finest. It's issue 50. It is crazy to think it's been 50 issues since Batman and Superman hopped in a car to get coffee with Jerry Seinfeld. But they're back, and we're bringing back the original artist of World's Finest, Dan Mora. Mark and Dan together again with some amazing, amazing covers. One of which I know Kyle is ready to punch me to talk about, but I'm going to force him to wait until our top 10. Can we handle that, Kyle, or are you gonna bite my head off over it?
Well, I mean, I think we can say it by doing this. Guys, if you're going to put the greatest rock star to ever live on the cover of a comic, it's going to be in the top 10. And Mathias didn't make it number 1, and I'm angry.
Oh, yeah. We'll come back to that topic at the end of the show. But there are some amazing covers, everything from Frank Quietly, Dan Mora, Mark Spears, Rod Reyes, Adrian Gutierrez, and more. I'm going to blaze right on by this to talk about Megalith Zero. All right. This is a fun one from Bad Idea because it is not just Megalith. Beyond Megalith Zero is a preview comic that is going to give you some previews of some upcoming Bad Idea for 2026. Megalith, the book that has taken almost a decade to come out. We've been waiting years for this comic to come out. Matt Kent and Louis LaRosa finally get this masterpiece tale of a colossal size kaiju versus a colossal size mech. But we're also going to get stories from Tony Millionaire, Robert Venditti, Derek Kolstad, and David Yarovesky. Derek Kolstad being the man who created John Wick, Dave Yarovesky, who brought us Brightburn. You're going to get a preview of all of their upcoming comics in this $1.99 item that is set for release on March 25th to get you there in time for like free comic book day and all these other things. So $1.99 preview of all these big things that are coming out. Pretty ideal scenario.
Listen, you guys know Bad Idea does Bad Idea things.
Yeah.
This is no exception. They have some wild stuff they're doing with Megalith.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. So here's a crazy one. Kevin Smith returns to the DC universe with a new miniseries, and it's not written or not drawn by Walt Flanagan. Kevin Smith has got Nick Pitara teaming with him, and Kevin is co-writing with Eric Carrasco, who is a television and film writer who's done one comic, I want to say, back at IDW. I mean, I hosted Eric Carrasco for a signing, and I cannot remember that. Oh God, it was this is gonna kill me. I'm gonna type it in because I am friends with Eric's little brother, and I cannot remember for the life of me the name of his amazing comic series and TV show that he wrote. But Eric, Sleepy Hollow, that's what it was. Sleepy Hollow. Eric did Sleepy Hollow, and he returns to team up with one of the most hilarious and amazing writers and directors out there, Kevin Smith, for a year one equivalent of Bizarro. Bizarro Year None will give us the tales of Bizarro and Bizarro World and the perfect art of Nick Pitara, who I could not imagine a better artist outside of maybe one of the All Reds for this. This is going to be funny. It is going to be dark. It's going to get a little weird. Cannot wait. I really don't have much I feel I can say about this because it's just going to be such an odd, like this will be the Tusk of DC Comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith writing Bizarro is like David Byrne, right? Or not David Byrne. David Byrne writing Bizarro.
Yeah.
David Lynch writing Bizarro.
Ooh, I would watch David Lynch's Bizarro movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd watch Kevin Smith's Bizarro movie. You hear me,
You
James
might
Gunn?
have to.
Yeah.
I've met Kevin Smith. Bizarro's going to wind up working in a convenience store. He's going to be unhappy. It's going to be a thing.
Is he going
like
to
anything, nothing else he's ever directed called Clerks 5.
So he's not going to get surgery and turn himself into a walrus.
No, he's just going to not even supposed to be here today.
That's fair. I mean, is Bizarro ever supposed to be anywhere, any day?
Well, no.
Snoochie. All right. I can't believe I said that. We're going to move on. But yeah, some great covers of Bizarro, one of which Kyle will be ranting about soon enough. All sorts of fun. I mean, obviously, I hope you all went out and grabbed Gaston #1 from your local comic shop this past week because, man, I cannot wait for issue #2. Look at that beautiful, beautiful man. That is the protagonist of a comic if I've ever seen one. Ursula also coming back with issue #2 on FOC. 2 amazing Disney series. Dynamite is just kicking butt with on these. All sorts of fun. If you love Stepan Sejic and you haven't checked out Fine Print, Fine Print is a very sexy, romantic comedy about a young woman who makes a deal with succubi. And as always, with any contracts with a demon or devil, it's all in the fine print. Volume 3, finally on FOC. I love Stepan Sejic. I think his writing and art is comparable to none other. It is top tier comics, and I'm so happy we're going to get this physically in print finally. Amazing series. A lot of wonderful continuing books, but we're kind of moving through quick today. So let's talk about Ghost Machine and the official guidebook. I don't know if you remember the 1980s, Kyle, but everyone had guidebooks then. I mean, Marvel had the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. DC had the Who's Who definitive directory of the DC Universe. And clearly, Jeff Johns and the team at Ghost Machine were fans of those. So they're bringing you their own in 5 separate issues, going over every major character, concept, organization, and location in the unnamed universe and others. And they even did cover homages to the 1980s Marvel and DC options. This first book is going to give you the guides of A to H, of Albert Einstein, all the way to the High Plains Zoo. It is beautiful. You can actually see a preview up on the preview section of this amazing book with all of these. And you can see the wonderful Who's Who homage that will always catch my attention, because I will show you the reason why in a moment. But all these wonderful details, the information's on first appearances, the power levels, the data. This is going to be a really fun, a must-own for Ghost Machine fans, a must-own for people before the Red Coat movie hits theaters. But the thing I have to point out on this is I will never unsee Benjamin Franklin flying George Washington like a kite. You know, I know that's not what's actually happening, but I also don't know that's not what's happening, because that is the way I'll always see this string from his kite going directly into, George Washington. I wish I could make this cover bigger. I don't know if this will actually work. There it is. Look at that. Look at him flying George Washington like a kite. We're going to ignore the kite over here, but, flying George Washington like a kite.
I'm excited for this. You asked me if I remember the 1980s. This is where I remind you how much younger than you I am. I don't remember the 1980s, but I do own all of those books, so I might as well remember the 1980s. I'm very excited for this. Shout out to Danny and the team at Ghost Machine for getting us this book early so I could read it last night. There is a lot of crossover between the Ghost Machine books. The Unnamed Universe is kind of, very
One big
connected.
universe.
And this helps to understand. Now, who is that guy to this other guy?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, actually, because where I currently am in Geiger, there were things I hate to say I forgot, just because, my memory is not as good as it used to be, since Kyle's pointing out I'm an ancient human being.
You're old.
That it is really, really helpful to have those things as we're in this unbelievable tale with Geiger and the Northerner, to be able to go back and reference concepts that were in other books like Red Coat or Junkyard Joe, or early concepts from Geiger that happened several years ago. This is going to be a fun one. And I got to say, yeah, again, thanks to Danny, I got to give it a read this morning. It is a read. It is a good read. It is well written. It's not like the boring encyclopedic entries of some of those Marvel guides. This does have more of the exciting feel that Who's Who gave us.
Well, in Marvel, the Marvel guides always had to include people you didn't give a crap about.
Yeah.
You care about everybody in every one of these books.
Indeed. And it still covers everyone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I said that Joelle Jones is having a bit of a week, and the week involves Baroness. So, look, last year we had the silent missions for the G.I. Joes. We all loved it because we love issue 21, that infamous silent issue of G.I. Joe that Larry Hama wrote. We love the great Silent Joe issues, but sometimes we want the dark side of the G.I. Joe verse, the Cobra. And as such, the silent missions become the silent missions. And we started off with one of our favorite Cobra members, Baroness. Declan Shalvey and Joelle Jones are giving us a quiet, word bubbleless issue. And Joelle Jones, somebody who knows a little bit about lady killers, is going to open us up with this Baroness issue. I mean, right from the cover alone, I'm excited and all in with this issue. I think there are some amazing variants available. I think this is going to be a fun one. And even for those of you guys not yet on that literary level, you can enjoy a silent issue.
Well, and I will say this too. It helps when you're writing a silent issue to have an artist and a writer who are both artists and writers.
Yeah.
Joelle Jones is a skilled writer in her own right, and Declan Shalvey is a skilled artist. So they're able to have a conversation about how this book should go in a way that not every team who does a silent issue would be able to, right? They're able to talk more in that how panels should lay out, not necessarily in how plot points should lay out.
Yeah. So it should be really fun. Yeah, actually, I didn't think about that, but the fact that you have both of the writers on this are also artists will make this a very good silent issue that it'll be well driven by the artwork. All right. What I want to point out, Heavy Metal returns. Sure, it's taken a year to get 5 issues, but it's still heavy metal. So I'm going to commit to it. A fun one and well worth reminding your local comic shop if you are still digging heavy metal and want the newest issue. You can say the same with Hell's Half Acre. Hell's Half Acre, the final issue, finally on FOC from the incredible folks at Magma Comics. I have been loving this dark and twisted tale, so I am excited to get the end cap on this and see where it goes. Denton Tipton really writing a great tale here. I know when the 4th issue drops, I'm going to be sitting down with all 4 of them to reread it as a whole. We have, of course, Kilroy is here. Book we talked about with the incredible Joe Pruett, with Dalibor doing artwork on there. I'm excited to see a return to this caliber classic, and it might be your guys' first entry point into this classic character. So may as well enjoy it, done as a standalone, all-in-one and done story for just $4. Can't scoff at that in this modern era. Now here's an exciting one. Mad About DC. This has some of the top writers and artists at DC Comics making fun of all of the great things happening at DC. Yes, you're going to get Matt Fraction, Gail Simone, Scotty Young, Tom Taylor, Tom King, and others basically saying and doing things that might otherwise have got them fired from DC. And it's all approved by DC because it's the usual gang of idiots over at Mad Magazine. I'm just going to be amused by this. This is going to be the best way you could open up April Fool's Day, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and just as a point of reference, when you say the usual gang of idiots over at Mad Magazine, you're not being facetious. Like, all of these great creators that we love have come to Mad Magazine and said, "Hey, I had this idea." Or Mad Magazine has gone to them and said, "Hey, do you want to skewer not just the company, but yourselves?" And they went, "Yes."
Yeah.
So you can expect it to be honest and hysterical.
I mean, I would imagine there has to be at least 5 separate jokes about Jim Lee not being able to turn artwork in on time.
Oh, correct.
Yeah. Also, for you absolute collectors, yes, that is Absolute Batman on the A cover. Got to give a quick nod to Maid Cafe. Issue number 1 dropped a few weeks ago. The incredible Mark Spears cover on issue 1 drew a lot of attention to an otherwise fun and crazy book from Keenspot. Then, look, we talked about it the first time. Narco, this poor kid with his narcolepsy and all the insanity that happens, blew up when it hit stands this past Wednesday. Doug Wagner's incredible storytelling with Daniel Hilliard has been amazing, from plastic to plush to I was a fashion school serial killer. And yet, you all slept on it, I want to say. Actually, many of you guys probably listened and paid attention, which we're thankful for, and I'm sure you're thankful for, when this became a $20 comic on day of release. So now a brand new cover and a second printing, so you have no excuse not to get on this. It says don't pass out with the narcolepsy. I'm saying don't pass up this awesome book, because, again, we've been warning you guys. We've been telling you guys these are the big hits.
Well, and something to bring up, something to mention is, and this is a little bit of inside baseball, but not too much, is that retailers now have an opportunity. If you're a retailer out there and you're going, okay, Narco's a big hit, but nobody cares about plastic and vinyl and all these, hand sell them. It's not that different. They'll like it. This is your opportunity to move stock that you either have because you believe in, or have because you couldn't sell it before, to a hot book, to a hot fan base for a hot artist and a hot writer. This is your chance. So don't sit on your hands and be like, well, they just want spec. No, sell them something else they're going to like. Turn them into readers, not speculators.
Absolutely.
Grr.
I will even go further, and I will outright say, as I'm unfortunately texting off screen, I'll give you guys the hand pitch. If you like Narco and the goofiness and style of that, if you want to know why that skyrocketed to a great value and was a high demand story, you need to check out Doug and Daniel's incredible books like Plastic, a serial murderer who marries a plastic sex doll and all the insanity that ensues with that. Like Plush, a young boy who is dragged into the world of furries that also happen to be cannibals, and help with him getting revenge on the psychotic small town sheriff that is out for him. Or things like I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer, which basically takes a style of Silence of the Lambs and turns that twist into a delightful, coming of age story. We can talk about all of these books to no end, but this is the moment where you guys saw the success of this and should know that this success came not from market manipulation. Look, there is some price valuing that unquestionably came from what we're calling now the dork effect of speculators trying to find the next big thing. But this is one of the next big things because Doug and Daniel are just brilliant creators, and their work should be paid attention to.
Mathias, just in case you're not aware, we're not calling it the dork effect. We're calling it dorking out.
Dorking out. All right. I like that. You know what? I'll give it to you. Dorking out. All right. Do you know Poison Ivy is the mayor of Gotham now?
That seems right. I would elect her.
So part 2 of her tenure as mayor has some phenomenal covers. So if you're not already checking it out, grab the issue 42 of Poison Ivy, where the answer to life, death, and all that was elect Pamela Isley for mayor of Gotham. Meanwhile, for those of you who have been loving all those incredible pop kill variants, yes, there is another holiday-themed one for Easter dropping on April 1st. It is, once again, a reprint of Jimmy Palmiotti and Dave Johnson's Pop Kill #1. It is not a new one-shot. It is a reprint with a new cover. But if you haven't read it, the hardcover for Pop Kill will give you all the details of these crazy soda wars and get you prepared for the upcoming sequel. Yes, they will be doing a sequel to Pop Kill Hard Candy. Did I get that right? Is Hard Candy the name of it?
I believe that's right.
Yeah. So if you haven't read it, Jimmy Palmiotti and Dave Johnson, just hilarious, mature and crazy read. All right. Now, we talked about things of predicting the future on Dorking Out with these unbelievable new indie series just blowing up. This is me telling you this is what's going to be the next one. I'm going to tell you it, and it's going to happen. If you want to go crazy on the next one, it's going to be Derek Kirk Kim's Royals. Royals is the story of two brothers with a psychic connection who intend to play an Ocean's 11 style gig of winning their way through card sharking at major casinos in South Korea. Unfortunately, you don't want to mess with the back alley criminals of Seoul. And that's just what they do. Royals is going to be a crazy fun out there book. The interior artwork is amazing, I will say. Derek Kirk Kim is a brilliant storyteller and artist and writer in his own, but Jacob Perez does unbelievable artwork, as you can see from this interior, and it is nothing compared to the amazing interior artwork you'll see in there. This is the 1 in 25 variant, so not all stores will be getting it, though. Again, I recommend they do because this is going to be big, but take a look at the interior artwork, style you'll get there, because that's Jacob Perez doing that cover. It is going to be fun. It is a goofy cast of characters. Derek Kirk Kim does the B and C covers. I'm telling you right now, this will be your next Dork. This will be your next White Sky. This will be your next Narco, your Nectar, your what have you. Don't sleep on this, Royals. So I'm going to have this clip later when this skyrockets on the aftermarket, and you can be like, oh, Mathias did say this on FOC like he did on every single other one of those. This time I'm being blunt. You know, before I've said they were great series. They're great series. You don't want to miss out on them. Don't sleep on them. This one I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out on them. You don't want to sleep on it. But this will be, and I'm going to quote Kyle's crazy term again, was it dorking out?
This book will dork out.
This book will dork out. There you go. So, I mean, look, Derek Kirk Kim did it before with The Last Mermaid, and it will happen again.
Well, let's talk about what all of the books that have dorked out so far have in common.
Yeah.
There's one thing, and it's a name that is known to retailers, but maybe not so known to fans. So retailers are ordering some because they know some will sell, but they don't know how many will sell because people don't tell them. Derek Kirk Kim is another one of those names that is known to retailers and known to people who know, that maybe isn't so known to the fans for whatever ungodly reason. They should know who he is. He's great. But this is one where retailers will order some unless you call them up or you get to the shop and you say, hey, I want this book.
And I mean, I hate to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what, part of this dorking out situation is in all reality that you guys are listening to us. You guys are hearing FOC recommendations, and you guys are hopefully reaching out to your local comic shop and ordering by FOC. But a vast majority of people are not, and they're missing out on these things we're telling you about. So share the insider baseball with everyone. Share this live stream. Let people know, but specifically keep on getting your orders in so you're not missing out. That's the key. That is why we do this show. So you don't miss out on these books. You don't want to be the person not getting your Nectar or Dork or White Sky until it is a ridiculous price on the aftermarket. We're telling you these things are good for a reason so you can enjoy them and guarantee them and not race to eBay after they've blown up. Not have to be in line at 4 a.m. for your local comic shop to open. You let them know in advance so they can have these ready for you.
Yeah. And again, it's retailers having to decide between how many absolute things do I order and how many of this other thing do I order. And right now, the money is on absolute. We all know it.
Yeah.
So if you tell them early, then they can be like, okay, I will order up a little bit extra on this other thing. That's why we call the show Order Up. So so they can order up a little extra on it and make sure they have one for you.
Absolutely. So speaking of things people are sleeping on, Skinbreaker, well, now's your chance to catch up. Robert Kirkman and David Finch's phenomenal series of orcs that are not half-dwarf has in itself worked out, just not dorked out. Skinbreaker back to 4th, 3rd, and 2nd printings, catching you up on issues 1, 2, 3, and the Treasury edition of number 5. So getting you back to the ability to catch up on Skinbreaker, this awesome new Skybound series. Some great trade paperbacks. Also on FOC, if you want to catch up on some of these amazing series. And obviously, Tigress Island, another one of those ones that really blew up perfectly. 2nd printing already available for Tigress Island. So don't sleep on that. Got all sorts of fun there. Walking Dead. A lot of great books, but the last one I got to talk it up. Wherefore art thou, Mandalorian? Over the past 15 years, a group has been putting together classic Star Wars films in Shakespearean-style prose. And now the TV series The Mandalorian gets a new tale done in the classic pentameters and 16th century styles of playwright William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare's The Mandalorian of Navarro is our newest one. This is my gathering dream of just sitting around with a group of people and a bottle or 5 of wine as we read out lines from the plays of the great William Ian Dosher Shakespeare. Ian Dosher's
Try or
doing a great
not
job.
to try. There is no.
Yes. Oh, I love it. So if you guys like the goofiness of these previous ones that have gone through both the original trilogy and prequel trilogy and movies like Rogue One, William Shakespeare's The Mandalorian of Navarro will undoubtedly make you laugh and enjoy so much. So that is our last big one for FOC before we break away to our top 10.
All right.
All right. Let us start it off. So I'm going to be honest. I thought I was going to have a special guest joining me. Maybe one of these weeks I'll get him in to talk about this honorable mention. But I was just discussing this incredible comic series, Gotham Central, by Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka, with artwork by Michael Lark, with another major retailer while we were at Comics Pro, discussing how it is one of the best reads you'll get from DC. And of course, now we have the affordable entry point so you can all enjoy it. For just $10, you can get the opening Gotham Central trade paperback, and you will not miss out. If you've ever liked Law and Order or let's see, what are all the other Law and Order-esque shows? NCIS and the like. This is better by 10 million miles.
If you like any of the Ed Brubaker cop books that he does,
yeah,
let's be real. That's what Ed Brubaker does better than anybody.
Indeed. Gotham Central tells the tale of what it's like to be a beat cop in Gotham with all the villains. This is not a Batman story. Batman is maybe in a handful of panels of the entire series. This is a story of police officers in a city that has gone mad. And it is beyond phenomenal, because this is not high action beat 'em up punches. This is police procedural stories done in a way that you forget you're reading a comic. It sucks you in so incredibly. I will leave it at that. It is $10 for one of the must own books you will ever put in your comic collection. It will be the best $10 you have spent on a DC compact. I'm sorry, Watchmen. I'm sorry, All-Star Superman. Gotham Central is the must-own DC compact. Get this. It is great.
Yeah, this is the reason Jim Gordon drinks, guys.
True. Then, let's get to number 10. I got to get off the screen to show you this beautiful Marvel Rivals Net Tease variant on Uncanny X-Men 26. This is a cover people will come in for. Look, it's a great Gail Simone story. I get that. But Gambit and Rogue will always do well. Throw in that wonderful D20 in Gambit's hand and all of the other fun. This is a cover that will sell. Marvel Rivals fans, X-Men 97 fans, outright just X-Men fans are going to want this cover. So that gets to be number 10. Number 9. I mean, Kyle already mentioned it. This Rose Besh piece for Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity shows you the goofiness and fun of this book. And wow, Rose just nails this. I feel this is up there with Peach Momoko's classic selfie photo of Spider-Gwen, where she's holding up her phone and it's half Gwen, half Ghost Spider mask. This is going to be an in-demand cover people are going to love on an awesome comic people are going to want to read.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. In 8, Dan Panosian. Look, Dan Panosian can do some of the best covers ever. He is at the top of his game with decades in the industry and draws some of the best covers, bar none. But this hilarious little Mad Magazine cover, that gives the goofiness of Mad Magazine with the quality of Dan Panosian's art, makes everyone who ever drew Alfred E. Newman before him wish they were Dan Panosian. You have an absolute Batman on there. You have Harley Quinn. You have our incredible trinity of heroes, and just the goofiness of Alfred E. Newman. Everything about it, must-have book. Then, again, I love Starfleet Academy. I'm hoping everyone else is watching and enjoying it the way that I am. I think it is amazing. But the Starfleet Academy photo variant is going to be great because not only are you getting more Starfleet Academy, this is going to be something fans want. As we're reaching a moment in conventions where cast members of TV shows and movies are constantly coming and doing signings, one of the big things is getting a comic they can sign. And a photo variant does great. Look, Dynamite figured it out with some great photo variants on Supernatural, so you can get the boys to sign those at your favorite fan expo or C2E2 or WonderCon or whatever. This is going to be a big one because you know these incredible actors from Starfleet Academy are going to be signing at various shows, and this will be the book to get it signed on, which means people are going to sleep on it and then be buying it up for well above cover price later on an already fun comic that will give us more tales of these young cadets. So, not one to sleep on.
This is wrong.
Now let's be clear. You say it's wrong only because of its positioning, because this definitely earns the place.
Too high.
Yeah. Batman Superman World's Finest, number 50. Dan Mora brings us the king of polka, the most comedic musician out there.
The greatest rock star to ever live.
Weird Al Yankovic. This is great. Now, many of you guys have likely seen our celebrity guest crossovers on World's Finest before, from Jerry Seinfeld to William Shatner to Paul McCartney.
Stephen Colbert recently.
Stephen Colbert, yeah. Now we have Weird Al Yankovic, in Kyle's opinion, the greatest cover piece ever made.
It's true.
Kyle would have me put this at number 1.
Yes.
But if I put this at number 1, what could I do with what's about to appear at number 5?
1B.
1B. Yes, on Bizarro, Year None, which is written by Kevin Smith and Eric Carrasco, we have Dan Mora doing another celebrity crossover. And of course, if you're going to have the Bizarro Batman and the Bizarro Superman, you have to have the Bizarro Al Yankovic, where he's no longer weird. He's totally normal Al Yankovic.
Greatest accountant to ever live.
It is weird that I get to pair 2 covers in our top 10, and this is one of those moments. Look, this book will sell on its own. Kevin Smith doing Bizarro will be great. But you throw in this absolute must-have them side by side Dan Mora piece of Weird Al and totally normal Al Yankovic. That's going to be fun.
So Weird Al studied architecture in college.
I didn't know that.
Is what would have happened if he hadn't decided to go on to listen to Dr. Demento. He would have been an architect, totally normal Al. But instead, we get Weird Al Yankovic, the greatest rock star to ever live.
I'm not going to lie. I would be very curious what the universe is like with totally normal Al Yankovic, and like how, like, do they just call him like Norm for short, or like, how do you, like,
no, he'd still go by Alvin.
He's Alvin. Ooh, I like it. All right, spot number 4. I had to particularly point out this cover. Derek Kirk Kim, the writer of this series, doing this beautiful cover because he is a very talented artist. The poker chip one with the number 1 on there, I think, stands out. Again, I think this will be the next one, as Kyle puts it, dorking out. This will be the hot indie book that people sleep on. So tell your local comic shop so you're not sleeping on it. Royals is going to be big. It is awesome storytelling, amazing artwork, and then a brilliant cover by Derek Kirk Kim. Then we have Absolute Superman 18 at number 3. It is the first appearance of Absolute Shazam. King Shazam. Will it be Billy Batson? Will it be Teth Adam? One way or another, it will be Shazam. Beautiful A cover, which has that first hint of it. While I like the other covers, this is the only one where you're getting the fist that has the strength of Hercules and the electrical power of Zeus. Now, here's one. I don't know how I didn't take more time on earlier, but Todd McFarlane has hit issue 50 of Spawn Scorched. And 49 amazing issues with great writing by John Layman. Now this one is written by Todd. And of course, this is the cover to have. There's some amazing covers. Look, normally with these issue 50s, I talk up the Scotty Young cover because there's never been a Spawn Scotty Young cover that hasn't sold out and gone up in aftermarket value, including the last two issue 50s in Gunslinger Spawn and King Spawn. But this time, I got to point it out to the Todd McFarlane cover of Spawn Scorch, because something about Todd McFarlane doing covers with numbers on it always works. And this stunning piece is going to be it. She Spawn on the cover looks amazing. Todd writing it, not just John Layman. Todd doing the cover. There, we get the normal hyperbole that this is going to be the thing that changes the Spawn universe forever. I can believe this is it. So, Spawn Scorch number 50. I didn't give it enough time during the show, but you need to grab it.
Hot take. This could be number 6, so Weird Al could be number 2.
And number 1, it is Spider-Man Superman. Look, Superman Spider-Man was big, and I think it will be big, but it won't even touch at the glaring hot value of Spider-Man Superman with Jeff Johns, Brad Metzer, Jeff Lowe, Brian Michael Bendis, and so many others writing. And then all these amazing covers, but this Adam Hughes cover with 2 perfect characters. Look, Adam did a cover on Superman Spider-Man, and he could have done better because he could have done this. Power Girl, Black Cat. Look at all those things Black Cat stole. I love Black Cat upside down. I like the word bubble usage. Everything about this perfection on this amazing one. Kyle, I know that you think that this might not have been the best of the Spider-Man Superman. I know that you think that the Weird Al Yankovic covers deserve number 1. But if we just take away those 2 key facts, tell me you don't believe Spider-Man Superman is going to be one of the hottest books, regardless of cover.
Oh,
on
by a
FOC
million
this week.
miles. By a million miles it's going to be. And, it's actually going to be a good story, unlike The Brave and the Bold. But it doesn't have Weird Al on the cover, so it doesn't count. That said, I do like the Adam Hughes. Adam Hughes is not my favorite draws pretty lady cover artist, but this is a really great one because it really does highlight what Black Cat is all about.
Yeah.
My pick for word balloony Spider-Man Superman is totally Scotty Young.
But that is good.
This is clearly a close second and wildly deserving to be in the top 10 for sure.
I'll also take a weird statement and say that I really do love the police officer on this cover because I love comics that have like those classic service members and civil servants in a positive light.
Well, this has a Norman Rockwellian vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I think that in and of itself makes this cover really, really unique and good for this book. But again, it doesn't have Weird Al on the cover, so it loses points this week.
But yeah, I mean, I got to take that moment and point out, I love comics because so often you'll find such great moral values in there. And I think many people who read comics have strong morals because of the comics they've read. And I love the idealisms of certain things. So while we might not always hit it in reality, I love the idealism of that Norman Rockwellian civil servant that looks like that's just a good, outstanding, American ideal police officer. And I love when we get those moments. Even when it's like, odd things like, classic Superman covers with barbers on there. When you just see those very hopeful Norman Rockwellian, people doing their job, there's something amazing about that gives you hope. And I like this. I like the strength of Supergirl, the goofiness of the villain of Black Cat. And then just that, you know, that police officer that looks like he cares to do the right thing. And all of that together with the stunning quality of Adam Hughes' artwork. This is my number one. Before we even get to the stunning contents of this book with top tier writers and artists crossing over some of our favorites from Marvel and DC. And on that note, let's go and talk about what else is on EXP today and this weekend.
So tonight at 7 is Nick's art show. He will be giving a portion of his proceeds to Wounded Warrior Foundation because of everything that's going on in the world. Then you have Nancy's show tonight at 9, her normal Vintage Interquest show. And then next week we have a whole slate of shows, including shows where I will be on the road bringing you books that I find in local comic shops while I'm traveling. So we'll let you know what all those things are. Follow us on social media, and we will make you aware of all of that stuff.
All right. And don't forget, take a look at prhcomics.com and lunardistribution.com to see all of the books on FOC this week. Then reach out to your local comic shop now, sooner rather than later, to let them know what you want so you can guarantee it'll be waiting for you and make your comic shop owner's life a lot easier. Thank you guys all for watching.